The notes on these looked so interesting, so I just had to blind buy the entire Vibe Variations line from Zara. And it's time to open them up and try them for the first time. I'm going to open up Zara Shamanilla, Wood Legacy, Metamber, Vetiverich, Leather Fever and Flower Please. I have not tried them, but looking at the bottles, it definitely feels like Zara is going after niche. I'm just gonna open them up and share my thoughts on them with you. So let's start with Zara Shamanilla. This is going to be very interesting because I absolutely love coconut. And yeah, coconut for sure. Let's try on skin. Okay, very fresh, citrusy, fresh, sort of a citrusy fresh, coconutty opening, and this is really nice. And right in the opening, I'm getting the coconut, and this, if I compare it to other fragrances that I have in my collection that are focused on coconut, this definitely smells of coconut. But it is, however, a bit different if you compare it to fragrances like Le Beau and Le Beau Le Parfum. This is, at least in the opening, primarily coconutty, a bit citrusy, sort of fresh. And I actually think when I spray it on, that the spiciness of cardamom is almost sort of taking over that citrusy freshness. And as this thing, Zara Shamanilla, dries down, I feel this turns into a really nice, slightly powdery. So this has a bit of powderiness in it, but this is not super powdery like, let's say, Dior Homme Intense and Valentino Homme Intense, that kind of powderiness. This is, at least according to me, lightly soft powdery, quite vanillic, so like coconutty vanillic with quite a prominent dose of sweetness and a slight hint of something that is sort of a smoky or smoky spicy. Creamy, vanillic, coconutty, a bit fresh, a bit spicy, definitely quite a noticeable dose of sweetness in the dry down. This is definitely scent-wise approved. A bit of a minus is that this, like quite a few of Zara fragrances, sort of rushes from the opening through to the dry down. I do feel that this is probably, or most certainly, not a beast mode kind of fragrance. So if you absolutely love coconutty, sort of a fresh, slightly sort of a milky scents that are a bit on the sweet side, then this is probably a good one for you. However, do not expect this to be like a beast mode super project in kind of scent. So let's move on to Zara Wood Legacy. The notes, dark chocolate, a bit of woodiness, sounds absolutely fantastic. But yeah, let's try it out. And up in the air as well. Okay, this straight away, this is definitely, out of these two, the most niche-like. Straight away, this smells niche. It definitely smells niche, well done. This is absolutely gorgeous. This is intensely but smoothly spicy. Also intensely woody with, I think it's that sort of a dark chocolate in the background. I do not know what other fragrance this reminds me of, but this definitely smells niche and I really like it. The more Wood Legacy moves into the dry down, the more intense I feel and the richer I feel its woodiness gets. And it becomes a bit sort of a mossy, a bit sweet and vanillic. This in the dry down is intensely woody, rich kind of woodiness that I think is really nice. It has undertones of something sort of a mossy, which just adds another layer of richness to it. And in the dry down, I'm not sure I can pick up on that initial dose of chocolate. It feels like that has sort of disappeared in the dry down, and what I'm getting instead is quite a noticeable dose of vanilla together with a bit of sweetness. And I feel that without the vanilla and without that sweetness, this would, at least to me, not have been as interesting and as attractive as I think it is. The vanilla and the sweetness balances up that quite rich woodiness in what I think is a really nice way. So here's the thing, if you love rich woody scents, if you love rich woody scents with a bit of vanilla and a bit of sweetness, and want something that definitely smells niche, then I'm gonna say get this one. This is super cheap, it definitely smells niche, and I think this is really well made. Good job, Zara. So let's move on to Zara Metamber. Before I move on to this, I want to say that I washed both of my hands to prepare for new scents. Zara Shamanilla came off quite easily. However, Zara Wood Legacy, actually I had to scrub that one off. So that tells me that Wood Legacy definitely has better performance. And when I came back here, I could still smell Wood Legacy all around me. So performance-wise, I really don't exactly know, I need to wear it properly, but performance-wise, Wood Legacy is definitely not a bad scent. So let's move on to Metamber. Not that interesting up in the air. Let's see how it behaves on hand. Yeah, spicy, rich spicy. Okay, so this was a lot more interesting on hand, not that interesting up in the air. It took me a proper minute of sniffing to sort of gather my thoughts on the opening, because the opening initially like a prominent dose of spiciness, which then got quite soft quite quickly. And then I got something sort of a musky but transparent-ish musky. And I was thinking, okay, what does this remind me of? And maybe, I'm saying maybe, like a bit of Le Labo, another 13, maybe, made. Even if you try that one, then you know that it's hard to sort of put your finger on it, because sometimes you smell it, sometimes you don't smell it, sometimes it's super thin, sometimes it's right up there in your face. This is like a transparent, quite soft kind of spiciness and muskiness. And as Metamber dries down, this becomes something that to me still has that sort of a transparent or super light kind of feel to it. The spiciness is almost gone in the dry down, and this becomes something that is sort of a primarily super soft, smooth musky, and slightly powdery and quite ambery. However, its amberiness, if I compare it to other fragrances that have a focus on a prominent dose of amberiness, this has a light kind of ambery feel to it. So this definitely smells good. Based on this first impression, based on how it sort of oozes off my hand, I do not think this is, I could be wrong, but I do not think this is a strong fragrance. This feels like something that is sort of a average or slightly below. So let's move on to Zara Vetiverich. Now, if you're a subscriber, which you are, right, come on, hit that subscribe right now, then you know that I'm not that much into super green, super heavy, damp, earthy, or whatever you want to call it, kind of vetiver. So I'm hoping this is not that. With that said, I have a lot of favorite fragrances with vetiver in them. So it's not that I hate vetiver in any way. So let's try this thing out. First up in the air. Okay, definitely interesting and not what I expected. This is quite a different kind of opening. To me at least, it feels sort of focused on the violet leaf in the opening. Yeah, violet leaf, but violet leaf done with a twist. So like something fresh with violet leaf. Maybe a hint of vetiver in the opening. I wish I could pick up on that pear, because I absolutely love pear in fragrances. I don't have enough fragrances with pear in them. So this is like a fresh opening where out of all the notes, the violet leaf is the one I can pick up the most on. The dry down, however, is primarily woody. This is not a sharp kind of woodiness. This is a smooth and quite soft kind of woodiness, together with a hint of vetiver. This is not a super intense, super green kind of vetiver, at least not according to me. I do like this. And kudos to Zara for making the opening feel a bit different to a lot of other fragrances. However, when this dries down, I mean, it really smells like classy, woody, sort of a fresh in the dry down. So there's absolutely nothing bad about the dry down. I do, however, I'm not blown away. So I'm definitely going to use this. This, when it dries down, becomes like an easy to wear, woody and fresh scent. But I'm lacking a bit of personality in the dry down based on this first impression. This is definitely not a beast mode kind of fragrance. This is like a quite soft kind of woody fresh scent with a bit of vetiver. If that's your thing, then you will most likely enjoy this. I do think the opening might scare some away. So before I wash my hands, I took a whiff of Metamber, and the dry down is probably my favorite part of it. Now, I'm not sure where I'm picking up what's making this sort of slightly sweet, almost fruity. This sounds weird because that's not in the note, but I'm getting something almost fruity sweet, or at least a bit sweet in the dry down. So the dry down definitely quite nice. So let's move on to Zara Leather Fever. Now, I'm a leather freak, so I'm hoping this smells of leather. However, there were no notes of leather, so yeah, we'll see. Let's see. Ooh, okay. I do love the opening. Okay, gorgeous blast of fruity freshness in the opening. This is almost like a bit of sort of aquatic, intensely like aquatic freshness mixed with a big dose of fruitiness. Definitely no leather, at least in the opening in Leather Fever. So the choice of name, yeah, I'm not surprised because this comes from Zara, and I'm almost always surprised and not surprised. But absolutely gorgeous opening. So like fruitiness mixed with freshness. And this is quite, at least according to me, at least based on this first impression, quite sweet in the opening as well. There's something in the opening through to the mids. I think it's the violet leaf, giving the whole thing a bit of a twist. And I think you will probably either absolutely love that twist or hate this. And as Leather Fever dries down, this gets a bit more woody. However, I do feel that in the dry down, this is still quite heavily focused on that fruity, sweet and fresh mix. I think the opening impressed me a bit more than the dry down. The dry down is still nice, but that mix of fruity, yeah, but that mix of fruitiness, freshness and sweetness in the opening made me smile straight away. The dry down is nice. I don't think it's as nice as the opening though. Currently it's a like, but it's definitely not a love. And I do not recommend to blind buy this because I think this might end up being something that is quite polarizing. So I'm absolutely shocked, and I didn't notice it until now. I was reaching for this thing right here. This is Flower Please, and I noticed that the bottle says Metamber in the Flower Please box. There's a bottle of Metamber. Come on, Zara, this is really bad. How can you fuck things up this way? You can't sell stuff and not make sure that the correct bottle is in the correct box. I'm disappointed. So a quick ranking just based on this first impression, so that might change with more usage. On 5th place, it's not bad, but I do not think it's as good as the other ones. On 5th place comes Leather Fever. This is not bad, but it did not impress me as much as the other ones. But on 4th place comes Vetiverich. This is actually quite a nice scent. I'm really looking forward to wearing Vetiverich more, but based on this first impression, I do feel that Metamber slightly nudges Vetiverich down to 4th place. But yeah, it could almost have been a toss-up for joint 3rd place. So 3rd place, the dry down of Metamber was actually quite nice. This is another one I'm really looking forward to wearing more. 2nd place, easily, is Shamanilla, like coconutty, vanillic, slightly powdery, creamy, milky, fresh, coconutty. Did I say coconut? Yeah. This is definitely a nice one. However, I hope the performance is not gonna be a bad one. On first place, out of all of these, if I could recommend you to put your nose on one that I feel even niche snobs would actually appreciate, then it's Wood Legacy. This smells so rich, so woody, so well made, and this is definitely my absolute favorite out of these. So I would absolutely love to know if you have tried any of these and your thoughts on them. And if you have tried them all, which do you think is the best? Like this video, I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe, make sure you check out the videos over there, and I'll see you in the next one.